Good morning, or perhaps good evening. Um, a lot of times something will happen and we'll want to make an essay and we'll spend days, if not weeks, if not months deliberating on it. And I decided to just do a video, partially a stream of consciousness, about how I feel and just doing something for the news that the manga Berserk will continue. The manga that so many weren't sure or were completely sure would not. And I don't know if it comes as a surprise to any of my viewers that I care about Berserk enough to make a video at 2:43 a.m. on June 7th, 2022. But I do, and I am. And it's funny because the journey of Berserk for me so far has been really weird. And even when they start releasing new chapters, I won't be able to read them because I'm not up to date. And given the state of things, I thought that it didn't matter if I was up to date anyway, because, well, Mira's dead, right? And the chances that Berserk would continue were slim from a fan perspective. And all I had to go on was fan perspectives, considering I only got into Berserk like this year? This year. It's kind of wild. We've streamed like 5 or 6 hours of Falcon of the Millennium arc on our Twitch, the PS2 game. One of our partners that we game share with picked up the Muso game, Band of the Hawk, that we started on but haven't made a lot of headway on. I've seen every video essay I can find on Berserk, including Super Eyepatch Wolf's essay they recently released, talking about how to cope with Berserk if you've been a fan of it for years, which I have not been. So the half of the video that was like that was not made for me. But I watched that part anyway, and I absorbed all the spoilers for it anyway. A partner that I live with bought like, gosh, the really thick books you could, club someone to death with. Like, I don't know, like 10 or 13 of those, which, are like 3 volumes a piece. I picked up a Puckhead mate this year who'd been dormant until yesterday. Weirdly. I've watched all of the 2016/2017 anime. I've watched the Golden Age anime. I haven't watched all the Golden Age movies. I've seen like one of them. I've absorbed a lot of Berserk media without actually having um, gotten that far through the manga. I'm still I'm still in the golden age part of the manga, which is kind of funny considering it's like the part that a lot of people complain gets overrepresented in media because it's so hard for mainstream media to depict any other parts of Berserk, especially because of how gnarly it gets. And we constantly think about Berserk, and it constantly comes up in our life in little ways. And a lot of the struggles of the characters are very resonant, obviously. As an abuse survivor, of course it does. And if you're an abuse survivor and you're into Berserk, I'm sure that it's not lost on you uh, just how much finding Berserk at all can mean to someone. But having found Berserk only since the author's death has been weird and, I don't know, imposter syndrome, like feeling like I'm not allowed to like Berserk. On top of the fact that I am not good at drawing yet. I want to practice, but also drawing is not my main art craft. And it's part of the reason why I'm making this video, because people are going to, I'm sure, make a flurry of work about their feelings regarding Berserk's continuation. Something that if I don't do my craft of art, I wouldn't feel I could contribute to. I mean, when I saw the flurry of work coming out in honor of the late author, it was really awe-inspiring. And I wasn't into Berserk at that point, but I knew that it meant a lot to people. And I knew that it hurts to follow someone's work and then they die and it's not finished. I felt the same thing when I found out the author of High School of the Dead had died. I felt the same thing when Monty Ohm, the creator of Ruby, had died. And I always thought about the fact that the creator of Ruby had died when thinking about my own art and, like, if I should commit to being an artist. And it was an easy way to fool myself into thinking that I shouldn't even start, because if I create a life's work, there's no way I'll be able to finish. I'm so bad at ADHD that, meh, right? So why bother? And then this YouTube channel started, and my headmates were like, oh, you get to be the face of the channel first. While I was in a deep, deep depression. Even while we were making the work that we were making, isolating ourselves, and trying our best to contribute to the world the only way we thought we could. Because we thought we were so tainted by the abuse we suffered, and we're so evil, essentially, in the abuse that we had doled out, that the only way to do something good was to make art and not be friends with anyone. And yet, we kept meeting people who wanted us in their life. And when we told them about the things that we had suffered under and the things that we had done, they still wanted us around. Man, I couldn't understand it. We couldn't understand it. But reading Berserk helped me understand it, and watching Berserk helped me understand it. Understand that you can heal, that someone can want to be around you, that even suffering for years and becoming calloused in your heart doesn't mean you can't be someone worth knowing, and doesn't mean you can't try your best to not hurt others. And doesn't mean you can't help others. And yesterday we were trying to do some work, and during a lull and trying to rest, we put our head down and we took a nap. And when we woke up, we were watching a video essay about abuse, and like recovering from abuse. I'll drop it in the description, a link for it. It was about Prince Zuko from Avatar, and it resonated so much with us because it outlined like how abuse affects you and the way that you recover. And one of the parts about it that really made it hard for us to work for the rest of the day, it kind of messed us up a little bit, but technically in a good way, was just that isolation doesn't help. That if you want to get better, or to get better, I should say, to get better, you have to establish healthy relationships, you know? And I like to think that I establish healthy relationships, and not every relationship I establish since we started doing this have been the most healthy, but we've tried our best, and I think we have formed a lot of healthy, or at least healthier, connections. And it means a whole lot to us that we've been able to, and it means a whole lot to us that there are folks that believe in us, and push us to keep doing what we want to do, and help enable us to be able to keep doing it. I kind of also wanted to do this video because of the state I was in when I found out the news, and I kind of wanted to reflect on it. I'm not very good with diaries, but if I make it a video, then any of my headmates can watch it, and I can watch it, and we can reflect on it. And of course, normally you might say, why not just record this and keep it to yourself? Again, I wanted to do something as a Berserk fan, and also just be able to be one of the people who got to talk about the news of it happening. We try really hard to be an anti-tuber, and it's really hecking hard, especially because of like YouTube's restrictions on things and whatnot. So being able to talk about Berserk without using anime footage is nice. Being able to talk about it and be part of the conversation is nice, without worrying about videos being like done dirty in the algorithm, I guess, which is also something that's been very depressing for us lately. A couple of days ago, we found out that our last, the last Fluff Bite Presents, most of our viewers can't see, because at some point after we posted it, but not the day we did, YouTube told us that the copyrighted material that was in it was so egregiously copyrighted material stuff that most of our viewers are not allowed to watch it, which kind of destroyed me considering it's such an important video to us, and literally it's been, I think, a year. I think it's been a year or nearly a year since we made another Fluff by Presents. And we've been trying to work up to making another one. And it's been a really long time and we're still working on it. And the next one is about what it means to be an artist, and how hard it is to be an artist right now on the internet. And all the emotional turmoil and existential crises that go into it, especially in terms of parasocial stuff. And more has been going into it because more and more stuff has happened to us, or more stuff has like affected our take on it, or we've read into more stuff that we want to include. And a lot of people have a parasocial relationship with Mira. I mean, I guess I do. It's weird to have a parasocial relationship with a ghost. But hearing about how others like treated the Berserk chapters like this slice of seeing your friends after a really long time, but knowing you'll see them again soon is like, I don't know, it seemed nice. I haven't had a lot of things like that in my life. What was the state I was in when I woke up? Why was I even up at 2 a.m. to even see this news? One of my partners dropped the Twitter post from the official Berserk Twitter account in our DMs, and I was like, oh, I wonder what's this? And then I was like, oh shit, this is what this is. And I haven't read it all. I'm gonna read it like in a couple of minutes, but I want to get you up to speed on my mental state. Someone that we lived our life for, who we don't know is alive or not, that we can't get into contact with, who we haven't been able to get into contact with for months, who we've been constantly worried about. I had a dream about. For folks who know a lot about Berserk, knowing that I call this person like my Griffith, is kind of sad. But it's kind of hard for me not to think of him like that. We both hurt each other. Very, very badly. And I had no problem belonging to him. I preferred it. But I was not a tool, I was a pet. I was his pet for most of my life, actually. Anyway, I had a dream. I had a dream that we were in an elevator and it was moving very fast. And we were trying to go to the 17th floor of a hotel. I think we were at like an anime convention, maybe? We went to a lot of anime conventions together. in our life together. Um, it was definitely one of those dreams that you feel a certain amount of um, agency in without being lucid. And I was like, gosh, this elevator is moving so fast. I hope that that it gets to the floor soon so I don't have to worry about us dying or something. And it was like a completely glass elevator, so you could see like the whole building throughout the whole thing. And almost as a knock on wood moment, it got like to the 16th floor. And then it stopped and juddered, and then it started falling. And then it hit a snag. And it felt like it was gonna fall soon. And somehow I got my hands on the cables. I was holding it. And there was like a scaffolding. And it was so perfectly perched that you wouldn't even have to make a jump to get on it. You would have just had to drop. And you'd be safe. And I told him that I wanted him to go first just in case. We're not very strong. Shit, if the cord snapped completely, it probably would have just taken my arms with it. But I wanted him to live so badly. More badly than I wanted anything, even though part of me was yelling at me to just save myself. That's a weird feeling. Especially for someone that I, at one point, I pledged my life to. But we were just locking eyes and not saying anything to each other at all. Neither of us making a movement when I woke up. And when I woke up, our internet was off, and I had to restart our router. And it was 2 a.m., so my roommates were asleep. And I got myself some water, because I was parched, but also just like emotionally shaken. And then I opened up Discord and saw that one DM, and then checked and saw the message, and was like, oh shit, Berserk's continuing. In between the dream I had and the fact that Puck woke up yesterday inexplicably, weirdly, it just felt like the stars aligned. Especially not waiting until sunrise to even find out about it. Not having to. That had such a traumatic dream that I wasn't willing to go back to sleep. And then to find this peace. I literally have the Twitter thing up right now. And I keep seeing the numbers go up. And it's kind of wild. The numbers on the post go up, the likes, the retweets, the comments. Anyway, I'm gonna read it now. To our readers, we will resume the sterilization of Berserk. Please accept our apologies for the long wait before we can make this announcement. We have read as many of your comments as possible for the Die Berserk 10, the Great Berserk Exhibition, Young Animal Memorial Issue, and Berserk Volume 41. We are extremely grateful for each and every one of your words, and for your messages sent to us through social media. We are truly touched by the love you all have for Berserk, and the influence it has had on your lives. It is truly sad that Kentaro Miura himself is not here to read your comments with us. Before his passing, Kentaro Miura spoke to his close friend, Kyuji Mori, about the stories and the episodes he had in mind for Berserk. He also had similar talks with his studio staff and editor. He wondered, would everyone be surprised if I drew something like this? How about a character like this? Would the storyline be interesting? The talks were not meant as his last words, but were part of his ordinary days as a manga artist. Such ordinary days continued for more than a quarter of a century. Our minds and hearts are still filled with the thoughts Mr. Miura shared with us during that time. We've also found memos of ideas he wrote and designs for characters that he drew and left behind. We're reluctant to end his story without sharing these with his fans. Our hope is for everyone to read the last episode that we have put together until the very last frame. Upon resuming the series, our production team decided on a basic policy. Mr. Miura said so. This is what the production team kept in mind, since he did not leave behind rough drafts. It is impossible for us to create a manuscript exactly in the way he would have intended. However, we will write the manga so as not to deviate from Mr. Miura's own words. We would like to take the Kentaro Miura that we knew so fondly through our conversations and work and convey this to all of you in a sincere manner. We believe that this policy, although imperfect, is the best way to deliver the Berserk that Mr. Miura envisioned to everyone as faithfully as possible. From the next issue, we will first publish 6 chapters until the end of Fantasia arc / Elf Island chapter. After this, we will start a new arc. The credits after the resumption will be original work by Kentaro Miura, manga by Studio Gaga, supervised by Koji Mori, and the numbering of the manga books will continue in order. Looking back, the first volume of Berserk was published in 1990, with 28,000 copies released for the first edition. It was not an immediate hit, and only a small group of people knew about it. Still, it drew avid fans and was able to hold their interest because people could feel Mr. Miura's desire to refine his craft. After a while, Berserk became a huge hit through Mr. Miura's extraordinary efforts and some good luck. Today, the first volume has been read by 2 million people around the world. We believe that Berserk has touched the hearts of many fans, and Mr. Miura would be happy to know that his thoughts have had a great influence on people's lives and work. We hope that everyone will continue to have the same connection with Berserk in the chapters to come. Thank you all. Thank you to all the fans who sent us messages. We are also grateful to the main fans who quietly support the manga through their thoughts. Every one of you will be the source of our energy as we move forward. We are truly grateful to you all. Nearly 30 years ago, Mira called me and said, I need to talk to you about drawing a rough draft. I went to his workplace, just to talk as we always do, but Mira looked more serious than usual. I need to draw the eclipse, he said. I sensed it would be hard work, but couldn't believe it when I was trapped indoors for a week. In that very moment, the storyline from Berserk was completed until the very last chapter. Strangely, the story for Berserk went on exactly as we discussed at the time, with almost no changes. I continued to talk to Mir often, whenever there was a big episode. We did so ever since we were students, consulting each other while working on manga. I think people with good intuition would realize by now that I know the story for Berserk up to the very end. Still, I cannot say that I can draw it because I know it. That is because only the genius Kentaro Miura can write a masterpiece like Berserk. However, a great responsibility has fallen on me. While he was alive, Miura said, I haven't told anyone other than you, Mori, about the story in its entirety. And that was the truth. That was the truth. It was too big a responsibility. I thought, should I talk to fans about it through an interview? Or should I publish an article with some illustrations? But that wouldn't convey the scenes that Mira described to me, or the lines of Guts and Griffith. Just when I was trying to decide what to do, I received a message. The staff are saying they will finish the last chapter that was left behind, so can you take a look? The last few pages of the chapter were incomplete. Some did not even have the characters drawn on them. I took a look at the manuscript without expecting much. Desperation can push people to create miracles. There it was, the completed manuscript for Berserk. Mr. Mori, will you let us do it? Mira's apprentices, who Mira had been so proud of while he was alive, asked me straight. Company director Shimada, a mentor for me and Mira, also said, if you do it, the company will give our full support. I thought, if I run away now, Mira would say, I talked to you about it so much, but you didn't do it. Alright, I'll do it properly. I have a message and a promise to everyone. I will recall the details as much as possible and tell the story. Also, I will only write the episodes that Mira talked to me about. I will not flesh it out. I will not write episodes that I don't remember clearly. I will only write the lines and stories that Mira described to me. Of course, it will not be perfect. Still, I think I can almost tell the story that Mira wanted to tell. The talent Mira's apprentices have are real. They are brilliant artists. Many of you may not fully be satisfied with the Berserk written without Mira, but we hope everyone's thoughts will be with us. We ask for your continued support. June 2022. Kyoji Mori. Kyoji Mori. Kyoji Mori? I think that's how you pronounce his name. So I hadn't read any of it until now, so honest reactions. Thinking back to the Super Eyepatch Wolf video that talks about how even if it gets continued, it won't truly be Berserk. That Berserk is over. Even if we get like finality, because it won't be Mira working on it. Part of me has always, since hearing those words, wanted to dispute them. But even me in my own work have a hard time trying to ask people for help. And when people have asked to help with parts of the work that we do, we constantly turn them down. And it relates to this idea that we've heard even other artists talk about and that has been ingrained in us a little bit. And it sometimes works as an inspiration to do work that we know others have iterated on. It's why we haven't given up on the Amori essay, even though there are several hours-long Amori essays. And sometimes we get the feeling that all that needs to be said about that game has already been said, and we won't add anything important to the conversation. The concept that whether or not it's something that's been talked about a lot, or it's a subject, or a trope, or a concept in art that has been iterated on, or talked about, or done to death, when you approach it, when you do it, it'll be uniquely you. And it's still worth doing. And no one can do it like you. And Mira's friend knows that it can't be done the same way that it would have been done if he was alive. And I think it's fine being honest about that. But also trying to do your best to do it justice. I think it's amazing. And I'm glad that he's not running away. I plan to do some amount of analysis on Berserk. We actually had started writing a video on it weeks and weeks and weeks ago, a little bit before the summer started. Or sorry, the summer started. The summer's just starting now. A little bit before the spring started. It was gonna be, it might still happen, about Berserk and Ranking of Kings and Elden Ring, and how they resonate, how they kind of eclipse each other in some of their theming. The person I referred to as my Griffith, I don't want it to come off as just someone who hurt me, or someone who put their faith in me that I let down. Especially because people from the Band of the Hawk are based off of people from Mira's own life. And the person based off of Griffith, who I'm pretty sure is the person who's helping continue the work, is also the person who's based off of Griffith. And that Mira didn't think of that person as evil, you know? And thinking about it like that, and remembering of one of the stories that I want to be my magnum opus, when I focus on making work that's not just video essays, that I would pour my soul out explaining to him, that I would say all my hopes and dreams and what I wanted for the characters, that I told him and only him, and have not told really anyone about since, other than maybe a general theming and synopsis of, something that I haven't actually even started. That I'm scared to start because I'm terribly scared that I'll die before I can finish. My mind keeps going to it because trusting in someone, the heart and soul of your art, even without knowing that you are, is something I think a lot of artists do. Sometimes. Sometimes you keep it to yourself. And Mira was very solitary for a while. I do highly recommend watching the Super Eyepatch Wolf video because he talks about Mira's life and how he worked himself so hard making Berserk for so many years. But then, even though he was doing work so hard that he had little room in his life for almost anything else, he kind of let go the concept of finishing Berserk in his lifetime in a way. At the same time that Berserk's chapters started to slow and the arc that they're going to finish before starting this new one had started. It was very symbolic, especially because Guts reflects Mira in a lot of ways, and for them both to make that decision to put like the people in their lives and their own happiness before finishing this work, or before finishing this goal, before finishing this dream, was like kind of a big deal. It was kind of a big deal. And I still wasn't sure about what I want to put my work into to be my legacy or whatever. And I kept thinking about those concepts, and I kept thinking about not just the courage to follow your dream, but also the courage to allow yourself to be happy, even if you can't complete your dream. Especially because a lot of people don't get to follow their dream. And I already let one dream die, which is part of the reason why I try to put so much work into all this, because this is the most I've ever done for my own art. Done for my own self-expression. And felt safe to do so. I hope that I have the courage to start writing the thing that I'm referring to. And I don't mention it here to say that, like, my thing is going to be as good as Berserk, or anything like that. But just talk about, like, the ways that all this inspires me, I guess. And how it relates to my own life. Because when I thought that I could never be a filmmaker, especially because I had dropped out of film school and poverty had continuously stopped me from being able to do anything, even when I tried towards that goal, and then eventually accumulating so much trauma that, like, I couldn't work a day job, and then my disabilities caught up to me, and I definitely couldn't work a day job. I gave up on a dream, and I was like, well, at least I can live. But that wasn't giving up on a dream to be happy. That was just so it wouldn't continuously hurt me to know that I couldn't do it. But it was one part of my dream. And there's no way to know if someone else will take up your torch if you fall before you can finish. But I do want to say that if there's a project you want to start, if there's something you want to work towards, don't give up just yet. Because you never know who you can affect. Because the bonfire of dreams can include so many people. All their little fires building up. And maybe you won't have someone that you can trust to continue your work after you can't anymore. But maybe the fire you light inside so many other people will fill the hearts and the minds of anyone. It doesn't really matter the number. I try not to focus on that. I try not to focus so much on the fact of how influential Mira was, in the sense that it gets really scary as an artist to be inspired by an artist you think that you could never compare yourself to because it would be laughable to do so. But thinking like that is an easy way to just punk yourself out of thinking you deserve to make art in the first place, you know? Our inspirations are where we start, not where we finish. It's important to do what you can, especially in this world that we live in that seems to be dying, where there are a lot of people like myself who don't know what tomorrow will bring. Today brought me a little bit of happiness, though. Just a little bit. Your life will be filled with happiness and sadness, of course. I'm glad I could get a little bit of happiness today. Even if there'll be sadness tomorrow. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else I want to say about all this. It's hard. My mind is fleeting, flickering like a tiny flame. But I'm trying to keep it lit, even in the rain. A tiny flame adrift on a lake. I guess there'll probably be some amount of people who, when the chapters start releasing, will be less than pleased. Like, there'll be a drop in quality in their eyes. I don't think there'll be a drop in effort, regardless. There'll be some people who will just not accept how it ends, even though the people involved are going to be so dedicated to doing it the best they could, how Mira wanted it to be. And of course, that's fine. Not everyone has to agree. The Wikipedia page for Berserk uh got updated 34 minutes ago. That's really neat. I remember the last thing I wanted to say, but I wasn't sure if I should say it. I wanted to check the Wikipedia page just really quick because I wanted to make sure. Yeah, it's weird. So, like, you mentioned the Super Eyepatch Wolf video about Berserk, and it's not the only good Berserk video out there, but it affected me a lot. And because life it came at me fast in terms of Berserk, because I went from vaguely knowing about Berserk and avoiding it because it was marketed as this totally metal thing the only people with hair on their chest would read, and that had scared me, especially because of its graphic depictions of sexual assault and its high gore, and it being touted as this work that was just really as rough as the Dragon Slayer, I guess. I had no interest in Berserk at all. And then someone I love got obsessed with it. I got pulled into that obsession. And I'm glad that I did. And remembering that it meant so much to so many people, and then starting to hear from the person that I love, or one of the people that I love, how amazing it is and how reflective it is of trauma and recovery, and the themes of other people becoming your found family and helping you cope and you helping them. I was drawn to it, especially with the sense that Guts as a protagonist is someone who seems to be like the scum of the earth, and then in a lot of people's eyes is redeemed, even though the stories didn't even get finished yet. All those things drew me to it. And then hearing that some of the most important works of fiction in my life were inspired by Berserk and I didn't even know it. Final Fantasy VII, for example, which has been one of the most profound works of fiction in my entire life, was inspired. Finding out that was inspired by Berserk, even just that had done a lot to me in thinking that, oh shit, I almost missed out on this. I could have went my entire life not knowing. And I was really scared, and that's also what makes me want to finish reading and catch up and all that stuff. And a lot of people have a problem with watching or reading something that will never be finished, or isn't finished. The best friend in that is my Griffith. Would on various occasions mention, oh yeah, I'll read One Piece or I'll watch One Piece when it's over. And I know a lot of people are like that with a lot of works of fiction, especially in binge culture, and I get it. We crave finality. Sentient beings just like there to be an end. I remember watching that Super Eyepatch Wolf video and having a fucking meltdown. Because all that synchronicity in my life that I could have missed it was overwhelming. And then one last drop of synchronicity. One last drop of the wildest coincidence ever. If you go to the Kentaro Miura Wikipedia page, and you go to early life and education, it says Miura was born on July 11th, 1966 in the Chiba Prefecture of Japan. When watching the video I mentioned and hearing that Miura had the same birthday as our body, that we were born on the same day of the year, just that weird coincidence broke me, and I couldn't explain it accurately. And I tried to explain it to a couple of my friends and loved ones. For some reason, it hurt me. I mean, a lot of people like maybe look up like, oh, famous people have my birthday, and we never like cared very much about that sort of thing. And it just happened that like there's no one who shared our birthday that we cared very much about as an artist. Like there was no famous artist that, you know, shared our birthday. And I was just like, that's okay, it doesn't matter. It's just a day. And then suddenly, it did matter. And as much as I wanted to be like, yeah, no, it's just a coincidence, it seemed like a cosmic joke. And it's still weird to think about. And I guess, in a way, it means nothing. But it's still... it's like a scab that I keep picking at. And there's no meaning that I can draw from it. Not really. But sometimes I feel like it's the cosmos winking at me. Telling me at the very least that it's okay to be inspired by this person. And that is probably the least important thing we have in common, actually. If only to say that I just want to make art that touches people. That means a lot to people and helps them, as Berserk has helped me. But that's the only thing that I ever have in common with Miura, other than a silly date at the start of our existences. And even if it's just one or two people, instead of, you know, millions across generations. So that's okay with me. Thank you for listening. I wonder if I'll actually edit this, other than adding the letter. I probably won't. But we'll see. I hope you got something out of this. If not, how'd you make it to the end of the video? Whoa. Anyway, this baby's got things to do. Your life will be filled with happiness and sadness, as I said. Don't forget to appreciate the happiness that you get. Okay?